If you're looking to buy your first rental property, you've probably seen hundreds of videos telling you how to buy real estate with no money down. But if you're a busy professional with a demanding job, you don't have time to cold call everyone under the sun to find somebody who will sell you their house for pennies on the dollar. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how much money you need to actually buy your first rental property, breaking down the 6 invisible costs that nobody talks about. If you're new here, hi, I'm Ryan Chaw, a pharmacist-turned-real-estate-investor, and I help busy professionals build passive income through real estate investing. So let's get right into it. To make this real, let's look at an actual $340,000 property that I bought back in 2021. There are exactly 6 items that you need to budget for to buy a property just like this. And at the end, I'll reveal to you the total profit that I made in cash flow, appreciation, and loan paydown on this property. First, we have our down payment. If you don't live at the property, lenders usually require a 20 to 25% down payment. A 20% down payment on a $340,000 house is exactly $68,000. Now, there are plenty of ways to get that number down. First off, if you do what we call a house hack, where you live in one room and rent out the other bedrooms, you really only need a 3 to 5% down. That drops your cash needed on this property to $10,200, which is 3% of $340,000. And that's what I did on the current house that I live in. I house hacked it. But for this example, let's assume that you're an off-site investor, so you have to put the full down payment of $68,000. The second thing you must budget for is called closing costs. This is where beginners mess up. Let's say you have your down payment ready, but then your lender hits you with closing costs, which includes the cost that you need to close the deal, including the prepaid taxes, title fees, loan fees, appraisal fees, and recording fees. These are typically 2 to 5% of the loan amount, not 2 to 5% of the purchase price, 2 to 5% of the loan amount. And usually you can negotiate a bit to get these costs down by having the seller cover some of the closing costs. Now, because we put a $68,000 down payment, that means the loan amount is $272,000. Let's go ahead and be conservative and estimate 5% for closing costs. And remember, it's 5% of that loan amount of $272K. So the closing cost in this circumstance is $13,600. Third, you have the costs for inspections. So if you do an HVAC inspection or plumbing inspection or roof inspection on that property, it can usually add up to $1,000 per property that you inspect. Fourthly, we have renovations. The type of renovations that you need to account for depends on the property itself as well as the strategy that you're using. So let's take my strategy, for example, where I like to divide the house up into as many bedrooms as possible by adding those additional bedrooms. So for this particular property, I added 2 extra bedrooms by putting up drywall and a doorway and then upgrading the flooring. I upgraded the flooring to something called LVP, which is luxury vinyl plank, which costs anywhere from $4 to $10 per square foot that you replace, which includes the labor and materials. So adding a bedroom usually costs anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 per bedroom that you put up. Let's say that we're adding 2 extra rooms to a house. That's $2,500 per room about. So 2 rooms is $5,000, which was the case for this property. Now the 5th cost is your repairs. These can definitely add up, especially on an older property. But if you do your inspections and get a general contractor to estimate the cost for repair, you can send that written estimate to the seller and use it to negotiate hard so that the seller pays for those expenses versus you. What I usually do is have the seller either make the repair before I close on the property, or I have the seller put that repair money into escrow and have it dispersed to my contractor at closing. And then my contractor will go ahead and make those repairs. If you do this right, your out-of-pocket cost for repairs can be as low as $0 if you're buying a decent property and you have a reasonable seller who negotiates with you. Now, the 6th hidden cost is the furnishings. If you want to maximize your returns and increase the rental income that you're making, you usually want to furnish your house. Furnishings typically cost $5,000 to $7,000. But by using Target, Walmart, Amazon, and Facebook Marketplace as our primary shopping centers for our furnishings, we can usually keep the cost around $5,000. Next, let's go ahead and add up all the costs on the $340,000 property. So we have our down payment of $68,000, our closing cost of $13,600, our inspection cost of $1,000, our renovation cost of $5,000, our repair cost of $0, our furnishing cost of $5,000, and that gives us a grand total of $92,600. By the way, if you're enjoying this video and would love more content about real estate investing, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Now, given that some of these costs that I mentioned can be negotiated down, if you have $80,000 saved, that means you have enough to buy a cash flowing asset today, especially if you do a house hack or if you buy a house in the $200K to $300K price range. Okay, now I'm going to reveal the actual cash flow and profit that I made on this property in 2025. The rental income on this property for 2025 was $43,095. The mortgage payment, including property taxes and homeowners insurance, plus other expenses, was about $26,355, making the cash flow $16,740 in 2025. I also made $6,084 from the tenants paying down the loan in 2025. And the house has appreciated $74,000 since I bought it in 2021, which means it appreciated roughly $14,800 per year. So the total with the cash flow plus the loan paydown plus depreciation on the property was $37,624 from this property last year in 2025. And here is a massive tip to protect your liquidity. I use a 0% APR business credit card, and it's 0% interest for the first 12 months. I use that to pay for my furnishings and renovation costs. And what you can do is bring in the tenants, generate the rental income and the cash flow, which you can then use to pay down that 0% APR credit card before that 0% expires. And that allows you to not have to drain your personal bank account to pay for expenses. And that's how you cover the running costs, such as vacancy reserves, maintenance costs, utility costs, insurance, and saving for emergency repairs, as well as property taxes, which altogether is around $15,000 a year. Still, $80,000 is a lot, and real estate investing can feel incredibly risky. I hear you. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was a new real estate investor. And that's true. With traditional single-family home investing, the risks are high while the cash flow is low. Usually, you're only making around $200 to $400 a month. You might as well just let your money work for you in the stock market at that rate. But there's a business model that works way better than the stock market and makes way more cash flow compared to traditional rentals, Airbnb, and other popular real estate strategies out there. And it's really great for beginners. It's called the rent by the room student housing method. This strategy allows you to maximize the number of rooms at the house so that you can rent by the bedroom to people who want to rent just a single room and want to save money on housing costs. Usually these people are college students or healthcare professionals. Remember those 2 extra bedrooms that we spent $5,000 to build in our budget? Well, every bedroom that you can add brings in an extra $600 to $800 a month, and in more expensive cities, that's $1,200 to $1,350 a month. This doubles or triples your total cash flow. And while you can make up to $400 a month renting out as a traditional single-family home, you can make $1,500 to $4,000 a month in cash flow if you rent it out by the bedroom instead. This strategy is also recession-proof because college enrollment usually spikes up when there's a recession. Plus, the parents typically co-sign on the leases, so they guarantee that the rent will always be paid and that they cover for any damages to the house. I retired from my W-2 with investing in just 5 single-family homes. without having hundreds of thousands of dollars saved up while also working 50 hours a week as a pharmacist. To learn how I did this, go ahead and click the link that's on the screen right now. As you can see, you don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to replace your W-2 income. You just need the right model. And if you want to see exactly how I evaluate these properties to ensure maximum cash flow, click on the link below in the description to download my free step-by-step guide at www.newbierealestateinvesting.com/guide. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss next week's breakdown. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.